Hey guys, welcome. Today's practice, we're going to focus on shoulders and hips, just common areas where we can get a little bit more bound up, lose some range of motion, or feel restricted for so many different reasons, whether we're sitting a lot, working on our computers and devices, if we've had treatments, surgeries, things in this area that limit our range of motion. And oftentimes, when we've got stuff, we'll just call it general stuff going on in hips and shoulders, it can also then affect all the joints below it. So it's kind of like this ripple effect down the body. So we'll work today to create a little space there. You'll want to have something to use for a strap. You can use a belt, a scarf. Just make sure it's wide enough. You're going to be able to take your arms out to a V like this and hold them. If you have blocks, great. And then, like I'm sitting on a blanket or a pillow, something just to give your hips a little bit of height for seated poses can be really nice. So if you need to pause, go grab those things, come on back, do that. And then whenever you're ready, just come to a comfortable cross-legged seat. You can start with your left leg in front. Bring your hands to your thighs. And just close your eyes. Let's take these first few moments like we do always at the beginning of practice and just settle into breath. Our practice is that first and foremost is just being able to connect body and breath. Start to let the other things drop away, even if it's just for this short little time. And so sit tall. Simple way to make a little bit more room for breath. And open up through the front of your chest. That might mean drawing shoulders back and down a bit, whatever works best for you. Stay anchored down through your seat. And then just breath by breath, let it get a little bit fuller and a little slower. As you start to find that connection to breath, just notice how it feels. Just to fill up a little bit more with your breath. So often we just don't do this during the day. We're breathing just into this upper portion of our lungs. And just taking these few moments to take some deeper breaths can help settle our nervous systems, maybe help settle our minds. And just let our breath alone start to create a little bit more space, openness throughout our bodies. And so if you choose to just do this for the rest of the practice, that is a great yoga practice. And this is a place you can always come back to if what we're doing isn't working for you, doesn't feel great. Just take a few deep breaths wherever you're at. And then just take a couple more like that. And those last couple few deeper breaths, just listen to what your body's saying. And places that are talking to you a little bit today. Just start to bring awareness without a lot of judgment. That's always our big practice in yoga, just to notice. And then just gently open your eyes and stay rooted through your seat, long up through your spine. And just a gentle forward fold to start. So walk your hands forward. That might be just a few inches, maybe a little further forward. You might be able to come right, all the way down towards your belly. Forward folds at the beginning of our practice can feel a little different. In my body, they tend to be a little bit stiffer. And so just listen, your body's going to tell you where that stopping point is. And when you get there, there's a little sensation, but no pain, a good bit of stretch. Let's come back, take a few fuller breaths again. Sometimes I even think about it as just meeting where that sensation is with breath. Using our imagination to feel like we're bringing breath to that area. If that's one spot within hip or low back or along your spine, notice where the sensation is, and then just breathe with it. If it starts to get where it feels like it's pushing that edge, if it's too much, back out a little bit. And practice is sometimes just finding that balance in our bodies. And then walk yourself back up. Good. Keep your legs as they are. Bring your left hand over to the left side of your hip. You can come up on a block here too if you want a little bit more height, if that would feel more comfortable, or bring your hand or fingertips to your mat. And then with your inhale, reach your left arm up and over to wherever over is today. We're going to move with breath, and then exhale, lower it back down. And so as you do this, move with breath, inhale, reach up. Again, just like the forward fold, notice where your stopping point is. Come to that, and then as you exhale, come back down. Good. We'll do a few rounds like that with breath. And so you want to meet it. It's always that kind of fine line of coming to the edge of sensation without pushing past it, but also coming enough that we're getting some results. Right? We're not, I don't say babying it, that might not be, but sometimes we back away, right? We know that it's going to be a little, so see if you can come to it without pushing past. And then just move with breath. Good. This time, as you come up, wherever that stopping point is, that might be here, here, or even a little further over. Let's find that and then pause. Stay anchoring down through your left hip. Reach out through your left fingertips. And then just nudge your right shoulder forward a little bit more so it feels like your shoulders are square. I really like that. The movement into the stillness can often just give the body a little time to warm up for that shape. Right? And if there's any restrictions within the connective tissue, if there's scar tissue or fascia, sometimes that little bit of movement just helps it to ease in. And then the next exhale, come all the way down. Awesome. Switch sides. So right shin in front. If you need to wiggle around, sometimes when I sit one way, things kind of tilt off to the side. So find the place where it feels even. And as you anchor through your seat, sit tall. Keep that length in your spine as you fold forward. So it feels more like you're coming from your hips than just bending forward at your waist. And you can even kind of see what the difference is and feel that in your own body. So as we come at the hips, the spine stays long and we create length even as we fold. And then just to wherever that stopping point is on this side and where you feel it or what you feel. I think the quality of the sensation may be really different here. And so just meet that again with your breath. Especially into the hips, these bigger tissue, really dense, thick tissue of our body. And take a little time, a little breath for it to start to unwind a bit. Our hips stabilize. That's what they do for us. It's their job. Sometimes they do that really well and they hold on tightly. As you find that little bit of sensation, make sure it's also a place where you're not tensing against it, where you feel stable and steady, but not gripping. And walk yourself back up. Okay, this time take your left hand off to the side to your mat or to your block. And with your right arm, inhale, come up and over. And exhale, lower down. Nice, slow, controlled movement with your breath. So the slower the breath, the slower your movement. Inhale, come up wherever your stopping point is. And then lower down. Might be different on this side. Hips and shoulders especially find so different side to side with your breath. And then lower down. And sometimes it's a result of treatment. Sometimes it's just a result of our posture and our habits and the way that we sit or stand. Good. Let's take one more. Come up and over and then pause. You can also walk your left fingertip tips out a little bit more if that feels good. Let's stay rooted through your seat. Lengthen through your side bodies. And then just nudge your left shoulder forward a little bit, not so you twist up, just so your shoulders feel square and it doesn't feel like that shoulder's dipping back. And take another full breath. And come all the way back up. Great. Grab your strap. And so this one's probably going to be a little bit different for everybody. Some of us are going to have big range of motion here. For some of us, we're really going to feel it in a smaller range of motion. Right? So be gentle with yourself. This is a great one you can do, simple one you can just practice at home when shoulders are feeling tight. And it's the repetition, I think, over time that really gives us the results. So you can start with your arms out fairly wide. If you do have a strap, you have the buckle, you can hold outside so it doesn't clank around. And then stay rooted through your seat. Lengthen up through your spine. And then with your inhale, lift your arms up overhead. Okay, so here's where it might get fun. Right? This might be plenty. You're gonna stay right here. Your hands could be like way wide on the strap, or it might be a little narrower. Okay, and then from here, maybe start to take your arms back behind you. And a little bit, or all the way around. Go slowly, right? Listen to what your body's saying. Inhale, come up, right? Maybe wide, wide, wide strap, maybe a little narrower, and then come over. And if you're like, that's great, Amy, but I can't do that in my body right now, awesome. Right? Come to where you can. If that's inhale here, and then exhale down. Right? So that any range of motion, we're getting moving through the shoulder joints. Right? That might be here. And if you can come all the way around, great. When you do that today, come all the way over. Right? You're going to go with wherever your range of motion is. This one's going to be really different, I think, person to person. Most important, just move with your breath and listen to what your body is telling you. And then wherever you're at, just take a couple more with breath. Slow and steady. Great one again, just to come back to when you're at home and it feels like the shoulders are feeling hunched in. You need a little space. Right, quick and easy one to do. Well, maybe easy, but not a lot of setup. And then when you're ready, come all the way forward. Good. Set your strap off to the side. And we're going to come to tabletop position, hands and knees. And if you want to have your blanket or pillow nearby, if you like that for padding under your knees, and just keep that handy. So as you come to all fours to hands and knees, take a moment to set up your foundation so that your shoulders stack right over your wrists and your hips over your knees. So those are going to really support both hips and knees. Spread your fingers wide and then really press down into your fingertips. As you do that, I feel like you could strengthen from your hands all the way up to your shoulders so that there's a lot of support there. Okay, and then a little different variation here, untuck your toes and now take your knees out just a couple of inches wider. They don't have to be super wide. Okay, with your inhale, arch through your back, look forward. As you exhale, root your hands down into your mat, round through your back, and come all the way back to child's pose. So cat-cow with just a little extra addition hanging on here. And inhale, slide forward. Cow pose, arch your back, look forward. And then as you exhale, round. So we come through cat pose, that rounded back, chin towards chest, and all the way back to child's pose. Good. With your breath, inhale, come forward, arch your back, look forward. And then exhale, root your hands down, round, come all the way back. And let's take one more full round like that. Inhale, come forward, arch your back, tilt your chin forward, just so your gaze comes forward. You don't have to throw your head back, just gaze forward. And then exhale, round, press all the way back, child's pose. Good. Next time you come to child's pose, take 3 breaths. Anchor your sitting bones back and then crawl your hands forward. Want a little bit more support? Let your forearms rest down or bring them back a little bit. Find the place where you start to get some opening, some stretch without pain. And with your next inhale, come forward again, tabletop. You can take your feet out, just regular width now. And then we're going to step forward to lunge from here. So bring your right foot forward. And then here's where if you want a blanket and pillow, anything to pad under your left knee, if that would feel good, do that. And then start with your hands up on your front thigh. Okay, to make it a little bit more stable, if you need right foot out a little wider, sometimes that feels really good for stability. And you can keep back toes flat or tucked under. You might find one just helps you find more foundation than the other. And then squeeze your inner legs together. Find some lift through your belly. Okay, and then you can stay fairly upright here with hips over knee. We're going to just let them come forward a little bit until you feel a little bit of stretch and sensation in the front of your left hip. Okay, and then keep trying your outer right hip back. Sometimes, especially if hips are tight, that one wants to pull forward. Okay, keep this in your legs, and then take your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers. You can start with your elbows out wide, and then just hug your shoulder blades together on your back so it feels like they're squeezing in towards your spine. And you keep your gaze forward just so your chin's not down in your chest. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, draw your elbows in towards one another so you're pointing them forward. And then inhale, open back out wide. So we're getting a little bit hips and shoulders at the same time. Exhale, close together. And inhale, open up. And again, just using that movement first to break through any constrictions, range of motion limitations. Let the movements be slow so you can really feel where those are along the way. And then with your next exhale, as you close your elbows towards one another, draw back. So like you're pulling from your elbow tip back towards your shoulder blade. And what that might help to do is just feel like you're plugging your shoulder blades a little bit more along your back and onto your ribs. And then to whatever degree feels right in your body, start to lean back, press your head into your hands, and maybe open up a little space through chest. Gotta take one more full round of breath. And then release your hands, bring your hands to your mat, and step back to tabletop. Just take a couple rounds of regular cat-cow in between, so that regular cat-cow without coming back to child's pose. And so arch your back, look forward, and then round your back, draw chin into chest. Keep hands strong for support. And then come on back to center. Step your left foot forward. You can slide a blanket or a pillow under your right knee. You can even fold your mat over. That's going to give you a little bit more padding, especially if you're on a harder surface like this wood floor that I'm on. And then start with your hands up on your left thigh. Good. Little squeeze of your inner legs together. And feel that stability in towards center. Draw the crease of your left hip back. Okay, tone and lift a little through your lower belly for support. And then if this feels like enough, stay right here. And sometimes right here gives us that opening through the front of the hip. Or with that support through your belly, you can let the hips just start to come forward a bit until you do feel some stretch there. Okay, and then keep that in your legs. Interlace your hands. Interlace your hands the opposite way, like the one you have to think about. And then take your hands behind your head. Perfect, good. And then inhale here. Exhale, close your elbows together towards the front. Inhale, open out wide. You can just move with your breath. Maybe there's a little bit smoother range of motion after one round. Maybe. And you still feel those little hiccups along the way, right? Like one side might feel really smooth as you make that range of motion, and one feels like it's kind of clicking along. Sometimes that's what my shoulders feel like. And again, so much of the practice just to notice. Be aware without judging it, without having to name it, or even having to fix it right now in the moment. Just to notice. And the next time elbows come forward, stay. Draw back from elbow tips to shoulder blades. And then maybe lean your head back, lift your chest up a little bit. If that throws off balance or feels a little wonky, just stay forward, right? You're already getting some strong work through the shoulders. And take one more full round of breath. And then release your hands, lift your back knee, and this time step all the way forward to the front of your mat. You can bend knees here if that feels better. Bring your hands to your hips. Press down through your feet, and then nice and slow inhale, come all the way up to standing. Exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. Lift your chest up towards your thumbs, and then draw your shoulder blades back. And getting that strength in between to open up through the front of the chest. Take a full round of breath. And with strong legs, inhale, reach both arms up, and just as wide as they want to come. And then exhale, bend your elbows, cactus your arms. So you're going to bring your elbows right in line with your shoulders. Let's do a couple with breath. Reach up, inhale. Cactus your arms, squeeze your shoulder blades back, exhale. Lift up, reach up. Keep pressing through your feet as you do that so you stand tall. And then exhale, bend, cactus. Reach all the way up, inhale. And then this time bring your right arm back, left arm forward to twist as you exhale. Keep shoulder blades hugging in as you reach out through your fingertips. All the way back up to center, inhale. And then twist left arm back, right arm forward, exhale. Open your palms right to the direction that you're looking, so you turn your thumbs up, and then hug shoulders in. You can even look back over your left hand if that feels okay for your neck. Both arms back up to center, inhale, and then hands to your heart, exhale. Okay, take a big step wide. We're going to come to face the long end of the mat, so whichever direction works best for you, to help you to see best, you can do that. Okay, and then turn your left toes straight forward or straight back, whichever direction you're facing, and then slide your right heel back a little bit. All right, so feet out wide enough that you feel like you start to get some work through your legs, but narrow enough that it feels stable. And that's going to be a different balance for everybody. And then bend your left knee so you're in warrior two. And the other thing here too is wide enough just so that your knee's not in front of your ankle, but that it's over or even a little bit behind. So that as we work into the hips here, we're not straining the knees. Okay, from there, bring your arms out wide and then cross your left arm underneath your right. And you can do shoulders, or you can do that wrap of your hands, eagle arms, one of my favorite openers for the shoulders. Okay, just come back to your feet for a moment. Squeeze your heels towards one another. And then get strong through your outer left hip. So it feels like you're curling your sitting bone, your outer left hip in and under. And then press the crease of your right thigh back. And what that does is just takes the hips in different rotation, and we start to get some range of motion through the hips here. Standing poses are also nice often for building a little heat in the hips as well. And then elbows, lift them up in line with shoulders. And point your fingertips away if you have that double clasp. If you're holding shoulders, just do elbows in line with shoulders. Great. With your next inhale, open your arms out wide, straighten your front leg. And with your exhale, reach forward, really reach, reach, reach. And then bring your hand down. You can come to shin. You could also come to a block if you have that. Something just to give a little bit of height, openness through your chest. Just so it doesn't feel like as you come down to the mat, your upper body caves in as we're trying to keep things open here. Okay, and then like we just did in that lunge, take your hand behind your head or even behind your neck if that feels comfortable. And we'll find a little bit of movement here too. But first, just strengthen your legs like you did in that warrior two. So hug your heels in and then press down into your feet. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, hinge your elbow forward until it feels like it's parallel to the ground. And then inhale, open it back up. Right, upper body might move a little bit with it, that's fine. Exhale, hinge, bring elbow, forearm, or upper arm towards parallel. And then inhale, open up. And keep pressing your head back into your hand. So it feels like there's a firm connection there. And then often just helps to turn on the muscles too. So there's some strengthening happen as we get the range of motion. And the next time you come all the way up, stay. Draw back again from your elbow tip towards your armpit, like you're plugging the shoulder in. And then lean your head back into your hand. Release, reach your arm up. From the strength of your legs, come all the way up. And then bring your hands to your hips. Okay, and then just pivot your feet to the other side, whichever direction on your mat you're facing. Right toes go forward. And then just slide your left heel back a little bit. That might give the back hip a little bit more space. Bend your front knee. Bring your arms out wide. And then exhale, right arm underneath left, either hands to shoulders or wrap. You can take backs of hands together or your palms, just depending on range of motion. Okay, just checking to see where your right knee is, that it's over or a little bit behind your ankle and not in front of. Okay, squeeze your heels together. And I feel like you could draw your right sitting bone in and under. Another way to think about that is rolling your right inner thigh up towards the ceiling. Both of those actions will get the rotation in the hip. Press the crease of your right thigh back, and then just lift elbows in line with shoulders or move in that direction. You can play with pointing your fingertips away from your forehead and see how that feels. And take another full breath here. And the next inhale, unwind, straighten your front leg. If you had your block on the first side, you want that for triangle, grab that. Right, but give yourself that full reach, stretch your hand forward so you get length in your side body, and then you can bring your hand down. That might even be to thigh, to shin, block. If you can comfortably reach the mat, awesome. Just make sure there's space still in your upper body. And squeeze your heels to center, and then bend your elbow. Take your hand behind your head or behind your neck. Take a breath in, and then exhale, close your elbow forward. Inhale, open it up. And so just like you bring your upper arm parallel to the ground. Exhale, close, hinge forward. Inhale, open up. Good, couple more. And just like we've been doing, slow and steady with your breath. So you can really listen to what's happening in your body. All right, fast movements can be great for heart rate, cardiovascular, those kinds of things. Awesome. Sometimes when we want to slow down and just listen to what our bodies are telling us, slow is good. And then stay with your elbow upright, hug your elbow tip back towards your armpit, and then press the back of your head into your hand. Take a full breath. And then release your arm, press into your feet. Inhale, come all the way up. You can set your blocks off to the side. And then with hands to hips, just walk your feet in a little bit closer, about hip width, maybe just a little wider than hip width apart. Turn your toes out, and then bend your knees, sit down to squat. For some of us, this is great for the hips. For others of us, we know it's not. So one of my favorite variations is here, as we're still getting to build a little heat and range of motion in the hips. You could also sit up on a block or two for some support here. Right? So lots of different options for squat. Wherever you're at, And just settle down that awareness into your hips. If you're down here, you can bring hands to heart. And if you have knees or elbows on knees or thighs, you can even bring your hands together there. And let your hips settle as you lift up through your chest. Soften through your eyes. And just take a couple full, steady breaths. Your bodies might be talking to you a lot these days. As we work through different pieces of treatment and recovery, I think one of the different shifts with our practice is trying to listen to it without naming, without judging, without changing, with just noticing. It's a practice. It's not always easy, but may in the long run just shift how we respond to it, how our bodies respond to it, and what we feel. And then from here, just take your hands behind you, find your way all the way down to a seat. And if it felt good before to sit up on a little bit of support, you can do that again. Okay, so we're going to start with left heel in, right leg out long. And then take your right hand to your left shin. Nope, left hand to left shin. Same side, we're not coming across. And okay, backwards. Right hand to right shin, left arm out to the side. Okay, we're gonna do that movement with breath again. Inhale, reach your arm up. And your right hand might slide forward along your shins, great. And then exhale, lower down. And reach up and over, inhale, slide your hand forward. And then exhale, lower. Good, one more lift up. This time, pause. So again, you might be fairly upright. You might be reaching your arm over. Find your place. And flex through your feet. Press down through the outer edge of your left foot, so this bent knee. So you get a little more engagement all the way through the leg to help open up your hip. And then roll your left ribs up towards the ceiling as you reach out through your right fingertips. And then just take a couple breaths into those places where there's a little sensation, just a little awareness. And come all the way back up. Switch legs. So we'll get rights and lefts right on this side. Right heel in, left leg long, and then left hand to left leg. Right arm out to the side. Let's hope that one was right. And then inhale, arm up and over. And left hand might slide forward a little bit along your leg as you stretch up and over. And then exhale, lower down. And lift up, inhale, slide your hand forward. And then exhale, lower. Okay, one more like that, up and over. And then stay. Wherever you feel the stopping point. It might be under the shoulder, it might be on top, it might be in top of the hip. Doesn't matter. Right? Sometimes we ask where we're supposed to feel it. My response would always be wherever you do. Right? Each of our bodies is uniquely different. And so where you feel the pose is going to be really different from where somebody else does. And so just let it be wherever it is, as long as there's no pain. And just breathe into that. And come all the way back up. Good. Help your leg back in and come all the way down onto your back. And when you get there, bend your knees, place your feet to your mat, and then walk your heels in towards your hips and take your feet hip width apart. So a good gauge of that is if you could line up right where your sitting bones are, right in the middle of the base of your glutes. Line that up with your heels. And then with your arms by your sides, take a moment just to let your back body settle down. Sometimes with change of position, it's nice just to give it a breath to settle. And then with your inhale, we're going to do just arms first. Reach your arms up and maybe over, again, until that stopping point. Maybe the backs of your hands come to your mat. Maybe they come here, and then exhale, lower down. Right, wherever you get to, we're increasing range of motion with each time. If that's here, right, we want to find a place where it's effective, but there's no pain. And come to that edge and breathe. Okay, you can keep just arms. That might just feel like that is good today. Or you can add the hips in as well, right? So as you inhale, you lift up your hips and arms. And then as you exhale, lower down. You don't have to lift high, just find that range of motion. Press through heels, lift hips, lift arms up. And then exhale, lower down. Good, one more. And lower down. Great. Okay, we're gonna do one more good one for the shoulder from here. Again, this one's gonna have a really different range of motion for everyone, kind of like the shoulder strap one we did before. So we'll play with it. Let me see how it goes. You can reach your left arm up and roll just a little bit towards your left. You don't have to come all the way to the side. You can if that feels okay. Reach your right arm up to the ceiling and then turn your thumb back towards your feet. Bend your elbow and reach behind you. So your hand might come off to the side, like your hip, might come back of your hand to your low back, or it might snuggle up towards your shoulder blades. And then you're going to roll back onto your back. And you can just let your left arm come out wherever it's comfortable, maybe out to the side or to cactus shape. So we get this funky variation of the arm and the rotation of the shoulder. And just listen. This is a rotation we don't often take our shoulder in. So if it feels good, awesome. If you need a little bit more space, right, you can slide your hand even just out to the side so it's more like your hand is by your hip. Find the right place for you. And then you can just keep knees bent. Sometimes feet wide, knees together feels good. You want a little bit more space through your hip. Bring the soles of your feet together and knees out wide and butterfly. To see if you can let your upper body settle back onto the weight of your hand. Listen to what the sensation is like in the shoulder here. Right, our practice does teach us to be really discerning, really aware of what good stretch is, what good sensation is, and where pain is. And it can be a really thin line between the two. The more we practice, the more carefully we listen, the more aware we become. Okay, if your knees are wide, you can use your left hand to just help them back together. Roll off towards your left a little bit, unwind your arm, and then just squeeze your arms in front. It's like you're giving yourself a big hug. And we get some compression through the front of the shoulders. Okay, and then release. Bring your right arm out to you can come out to the side with your right arm or up overhead, just depending range of motion there. Roll over to your right, and then reach your left arm up, turn your thumb back, and reach around. Again, off to the side of your hip, maybe under your low back. Maybe it starts to snuggle up in between shoulder blades. That's going to be a pretty big range of motion here. Right arm wherever it's comfortable. And then choose which variation you want for your legs here. If that's feet wide, knees together, if that's constructive rest pose and might feel good for your lower back, or soles of your feet together and knees out wide. And then do the same. Just let the weight of your upper body settle back onto your hand. Can also give you a nice little massage for hand and wrist if it's all the way under there. And check in with sensation through your left shoulder joint. Stretch. Feel okay. If there's too much compression, if there feels pinching, just back out a little. When we push too far, our body tends to contract in response to that instead of softening and opening. And so sometimes we have this no pain, no gain mentality. Right? Or I have a teacher who used to say, no pain, no pain. But we don't want to push past where the body is tensing, where it's contracting. We want to let it soften and create space. And then if your knees are wide, help them back together. Roll off to your right just a little bit. Unwind your arms. And then just give yourself a big squeeze again across the front. And release your arms. And then we're going to set up for a few moments in Shavasana. So you can keep knees bent if that feels really supportive. You can bring legs to straight. You could slide a pillow underneath your knees if that would feel good for your low back, or a pillow underneath your head if that would feel supportive. And just close your eyes. Let your shoulders drop back. You can even snuggle shoulder blades up underneath your body a little bit more. The chest feels spacious and open. And let your hips soften and settle to your mat. And then just let go of having to do anything with your breath. Just keep your attention there on breath, on body, as you rest these last few moments. Take some deeper breaths. And as you're ready, draw your knees towards your chest. Roll to your side if that's okay, or just help yourself all the way back up to sitting. Just move slowly. Ease your way out of the rest. And when you get there, bring your hands together at your heart. Lift your heart to your hands. Bow head into heart. To listening to our bodies, to meeting that with breath. Thank you so much for practicing. Namaste.